Hey, this is Jordan. I'm here at Cox Arboretum Metro Park with my friend Kelly, outdoor recreation specialist, Spires Metro Parks. And today we're doing a fish filleting basics video for you, sponsored by Subaru of America. So without further ado, we're going to jump on into filleting this fish.
So sometimes when I go out fishing, most of the times when I go, it's catch and release for me. Sometimes though, I want to bring home what I catch. So a really good technique for bringing that catch home is learning how to fillet it. And so that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to do a basic fillet on this fish. So today we have this beautiful rainbow trout, and we're going to do a simple fillet. And before we get started though, I want to talk about a safety technique that some of you might be interested in, and that's a Kevlar glove. And a Kevlar glove is something that you'll see if you go to some of your higher end, or even like if you go to jungle gyms, you'll see them, or a butcher or something like that. They'll have a Kevlar glove, and it just simply protects their hands from getting cut. You want to keep your knives really super sharp. It'll cut the meat easier. You don't have to use as much force. If you're using a lot of force, you want to check and make sure that you don't need to sharpen your knife. So one of the first things that we want to do is we want to cut a line on the top of the fish, following that spine and on each side of the fin. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to put some downward force. The skin's pretty thick, so I want to go down the top. The other good thing about having this glove is you can help hold the skin's a little bit slippery, so that helps hold that. So you can see where I've gone down through the top right alongside. While I have it, I'm going to go down both sides. So I'm going to make that second cut. Oop, you can see how tough it is. Right down, and I'll do my disclaimer now. I am not the best fillet person. I have an uncle that is so quick and so wonderful. Maybe if I brought more fish home, my techniques would improve. However, now this fish, like I said, is fresh, so it still has the innards inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it on its back. I'm going to start down at the vent. If you see these bottom fins in the vent, I'm going to start here at the bottom and come up through the middle. It's a little hard when he's so fresh. It's a good thing about fresh fish. So I'm going to come up through the middle all the way up. Then I can take my thumb. I don't want to go super deep because I don't want to cut into all that and open it up. And then I can take my finger. It's a nice female full of eggs. Okay, I'm going to move this out of my way. I'm going to take my fingers. I'm going to simply reach up in there, and I'm going to clean all that out. And there's an esophagus up in there. I'm going to grab hold of that, reach up in, simply cut that loose, and then I'm going to take all that out, come down to the vent, and you can either pull it or cut it. I'm going to take all that, I'm going to put it in my bucket underneath. Then I can take it in my, I'm going to take the heart too, my handy dandy little, I love this fillet table. If you're going to do a lot of cleaning or stuff like that, it's really great even for just in a garden. You can hook your garden hose up to it and rinse that out really nice. It drains right down into a bucket, or you can have, if you have a drain system, go right into your drain and get that all nice and clean. There we go. The other thing I'm going to do is keep my board a little bit clean too. That will keep my fillets cleaner. Okay. So now we have cut down on the back. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to have to turn this around for me. So Jordan, if you can see that there. So I'm going to start on the top. I'm going to come in behind. This is the gill plate. So I'm going to, and then this is the pec fin. So I'm going to come in behind that, and I'm going to make a cut, an angular cut, all the way up to the top, down to the bottom. Then I'm going to start up here and simply going to start cutting that meat loose. And you hear that little sound? That is the blade tip on the rib cage. So I'm cutting that meat and I'm kind of peeling it with my thumb, peeling it away. There are some people who will simply take it and just peel it this way. That's great. Sometimes it'll tear the meat and you'll lose some of it. It's a personal preference. You can hear it on the bones. You can see the rib cage right there, so you know you're getting it. I'm going to cut that loose. That's just skin right here, so I'm going to cut it. It's a little slippery and slidey. That's okay. They are fish are coated with a, some people call it slime, but they're coated with a a coating that keeps them protected from parasites and things like that. That's what makes them so slippery to hang on to. Okay, now we're getting below that rib cage. You'll still see these bones. Right there is the, you can see their spine here. And some people will go ahead and cut those fins off too to keep them out of the way. Now, we're down to the tail, and there's two schools of thought on this. This is simply the way I do it, okay? I like to come down so far on the tail and leave it intact. I like to leave it on the fish. I'm going to spin this around because I'm right-handed. Now, if you notice, I've been using a rather short knife. For this, I'm going to switch, because if you notice, this blade isn't quite long enough to work this fillet off. So I'm going to switch, because this knife, as I saw back and forth, will still stay under the fillet. Okay, so you're going to make your cut, and you're going to be looking for that skin, and make sure that you're through the meat but not through the skin. And you just kind of peel it, look for it, and then this is where we're going to push. See how that fillet knife bends and bows? That's why they're built this way, with a really nice flexible blade. So we're going to push. I'm going to get his tail out of the way here. That way I'm not cutting through my skin. And I may do it yet anyway. That happens. Here we go. So I'm going to push and back and forth. Just kind of saw back and forth. And I can look and check and make sure I'm staying under the meat and on top of the skin. Check it. Under the meat on top of the skin. Still just a little bit on top of a little bit of meat here. Now here's where that fin is getting in the way. Oops. There's a really sharp bone in there too, so you don't want to get that. Let's just cut him off of there. There we go. So we're flexing on top of the skin but under the meat. There we have this nice fillet. It's got a little hole in it, but so we got this nice, all the skin off of it. There. Now, there's a little bit of meat here that was missed. You can go back and you can trim that off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, get it out of the way, and throw that down under. Now, another option we have, I'm going to set this aside. And a lot of people like to use these. This is an electric fillet knife. More power. The technique is the same. So we're going to lift this fin. We're going to make that cut. Look how smooth that is. We're going to, this time we're going to turn it. We're going to do that same angle, just like we were doing on the fillet. I'm going to pull that up just a little bit. Now this time I had it angled and I'm going down, riding that spine all the way down. There's a blood vein there. We can just peel that right off. Now this time I cut through all those rib bones. Remember the last time we peeled it down? This time I cut through it. So those bones right there, that's all his ribs. So this time we're simply going to take our electric knife, turn it on an angle, and try to save as much as meat as possible. And take, so if you can see, those are all those rib bones right there. You just cut those right out. So now, same process. I'm going to lay that out. We'll turn it. We're going to cut through. And there you have a nice fillet. You can take your knife here and just trim that right off. So you can see how a lot of people will like using the electric. Now there's a small bone there. I'm going to go ahead and get that while it's a little rib bone on the end. There you go. Now there is, if you can see those little rib bones. When you go to the store, you'll see a fillet and it has this V notch out of it. That's why they've cut that little line out. You can do that very simply. I'm going to find it. There it is. There are some folks who will do it because they don't want to mess with it later, or you can say, hey, watch for bones in the fish, because they don't want to hack up their meat and they want a nice fillet on the table. But you just pull that V right out of there. Okay? Oops. There you go. So you'll see your fillets in there looking something like that. A little prettier than mine, but there it is. So then we can take this, get that out of sight. Clean up the table a little bit. I'm going to take this off. I don't need it now. Turn on my handy dandy little faucet, clean that up real nice. Put that in my bowl. Okay, now I could use a knife, but what the heck. Had fingers before I had a knife, right? This one I'm going to actually. So everybody has their favorite mix, recipe mix. Where's my box of, I don't have it. I had a box of paper towels, but that's okay. Everybody has their favorite mix of recipes, like what they like to dunk their fish in and stuff like that. I came across a surprising little tip or trick for getting really crisp fish. And a lot of people use panko and things like that. Try potato buds. Surprisingly, they will come out so crisp, and it's a thin layer. It don't have this big heavy breading and stuff on it, but potato buds. I have a little bit in the bottom here, but I was running out, so I do have panko. Let me turn on my skillet. Let that start warming. And then I simply take a baggie and I'll put a couple pieces in. Shoot, I forgot. I have an egg wash too. I take an egg and some milk and I whip that up really good. And then I'll dunk that in there. I'll dunk it into the baggie. And then I can just zip that up. Shake it around. One of the other things I like to throw in there is this wonderful stuff called Nature Seasons. It has all kinds of spices and dried vegetables all powdered up into it, and just gives it a wonderful flavoring without having to have a lot of bottles on my table. And then I just coat it really good, and then it doesn't take this very long to heat up. My lid is already warm. And I can't see my temperature very well, but it's getting there. Anyway, you want your skillet to get nice and warm. We're going to go ahead and put those in there. It's already sizzling there. Get some going. Get that breaded real quick. But like I said, experiment. Find out what kind of seasonings you like. And this is really, what's really fun is you can do this shoreside. You can have a little fire on the bank and just pack a skillet. Throw this baggie of mix. Have all your seasoning already in it. And do this shoreside. You don't have to have the egg wash. You can just use water. You know, because you should always have a water bottle with you, right? Stay hydrated. And get it nice and wet. And then put your meat in the baggie, shake it up. A little shake and bake. And you can do some without it even. And what's really fun is doing it shoreside, having it that fresh. So I'm going to throw this in here. let this get going, and then clean my hand real quick. And the secret to fish is it doesn't take very long, especially the fillets. They're so small, thin. When it gets flaky, white and flaky, it's done. So, look at that. Time just flew right by. And we have some here that's already prepared. So Jordan, would you like to try some?
Sure.
Take this one out. Okay.
Yum, yum, yum.
I guess he's so that's what we have for basic filleting today. And if you have any questions, feel free to send them in. If you have found a great recipe, we'd love to hear that too. And pictures, we'd love to see pictures. If you've gone shoreside fishing and cooking, we'd love to see that. If you have have had a great time, we'd love to hear about it. So thank you very much for joining us.